Did you know the gold rush era around Ballarat was a really important time for a young colonial society? It built wealth, which in turn built a community. But arguably, it wasn't the most important thing that happened. At the same place, here in Ballarat, was also the birthplace of change. Political change, heading towards a true democratic society, civil rights, workers' rights, and a nation's value. And it all happened here at the Eureka Goldfields during the Eureka Rebellion and the Eureka Stockade. To get here, you go past this cool looking fire station, past this amazing lamppost, past this sign, and then you have reached what they called from 1851, the Eureka Goldfields. In the early 1850s, the gold rush had started. Hundreds, if not thousands of people were coming here to Ballarat, searching for alluvial gold at that time. After a while, the population was booming. The local government actually didn't have much control. So a way to combat this, they introduced a license fee to mine for gold. They were hoping that that would bring in some money for extra police resources, but it would also deter some people from coming at all. In early October 1854, James Scobie and one of his friends came to what used to be here, the Eureka Hotel, a local drinking hole. They were refused entry. A scuffle broke out and the staff hit James over the head with a shovel, killing him. The staff and the hotel owner were found not guilty, which sent the community into a spin, causing a riot, and the hotel was burnt down. They were later retrialled and found guilty and given 3 years hard labour. But this was already too late. The Eureka Rebellion was now in full swing, and this all led to the Eureka Stockade. We'll take you to James's gravesite now. It's still here in Ballarat. This is James Scobie's gravesite here at the old cemetery in Ballarat. His murder was met with a lot of public outcry that caused riots in the street and the burning down of the Eureka Hotel. The public weren't satisfied with the accountability of the people who caused his death, which escalated the Eureka Rebellion, which led to the Eureka Stockade. Under the name of that flag, the miners finally had enough of the government and lawgivers acting like dictators. It was time for the miners to fight for a fair go. Here at Bakery Hill in Ballarat was where they say the birthplace of Australian democracy began, or at least was influenced. And guess why it was called Bakery Hill? It had a bakery. In November 1854, right where I'm standing was a pretty popular place if you're a gold miner around the Ballarat area. I'm on top of Bakery Hill. The miners would hold meetings here to discuss the poor treatment by the police and the increasing cost of having a gold license to mine here around the Ballarat area. The miners had had enough. This was what we call the Eureka Rebellion. These disgruntled miners were ready to take on the government. On November 30th, they pledged oath to their own created flag, the Eureka flag. That's the same flag and symbol that some unions use today around Victoria. They pledged their oath, and on the same day, they went down to the Eureka Goldfields and created what we know as the Eureka Stockade. They created a barricade ready to take on the law. Don't you love just all this old brickwork here in Ballarat? Here on top of Bakery Hill, they have this small plaque and flagpole to represent where they believe that oath took place. The importance of this is it was the early beginnings and a major influence on social justice, workers' rights, and democracy here in Australia. It actually was the beginnings of a changed political system. I'm now in the Eureka Stockade Memorial Park, and the large monument behind me is there to represent the exact location of where the Eureka Stockade took place. As this monument was built years after the stockade, to find out exactly where it should be located, they got every man still surviving who was actually there at the stockade to decide where to put this memorial. After everyone involved in the Eureka Rebellion swore oath to the Eureka flag on November 30th, 1854, they came down here as a collective group to where they set up the Eureka Stockade. And on December 3rd, early in the morning, 1854, this is where things went down. The stockade part of the Eureka Stockade was basically the defense system that the miners built, which was a bunch of timber, logs, turned over carts, some earth, just as a barricade, because they knew the law enforcement was coming and they were ready. And on December 3rd, 1854, the law enforcement came, made up of police and troops. This didn't last long. They came early in the morning. 15 minutes later, there's approximately 22 dead, countless others injured, and the law enforcement took the miners away. So on the actual day, the miners didn't win the battle. But if you look at it retrospectively, the miners actually did win the war. It changed a whole system here in Australia. It wasn't so much the battle, it was the political change, the social injustice, the public opinion that changed. And this is why we enjoy what we have here in Australia today. After the actual battle of the Eureka Stockade, the public opinion of the government conduct, the police brutality was really at an all-time low. This was the very early beginnings of workers' rights and what we know in Australia as a fair go. The whole Eureka Rebellion movement was that early influencer, that early influence of change here in Australia. It grew with significant political change, social views changed, workers' rights changed, everything was moving to a more positive society. Rather than the lawmakers acting as dictators, things now changed, where the workers were allowed to elect, the workers could choose. The gold mining license was changed into a more fairer format. The whole political system was now in favour of the people, rather than the powers that be. Not too sure why they have cannons here. I'm pretty sure they weren't used in the Eureka Stockade. Maybe they just look cool. How cool is that? Just one of the neighbours flying the Eureka flag. The leader of the Eureka Rebellion was a gentleman, Peter Lalor. He was a very well-respected man, and he united all the miners into one force to take on the government and make their stand. Let's go see Peter's statue here in Ballarat. The statue behind me is of Peter Lalor, a young fiery Irishman who was elected the leader of the rebellion. The events that took place here at Eureka in Ballarat showed the people that you can fight for fairness and you can fight for justice. Although the miners lost the battle on that one particular day, they didn't lose the battle for political change, and they also helped shape our nation's values. If you ever get a chance, come down here to the old Eureka goldfields in Ballarat. You can see where our Australian way of a fair go was born.